Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Report. Today I wanted to go over the thoughts that Moldova could join the EU and why currently I do not perceive that happening. I am presently in the capital city of Chișinău, and while I think that realistically a lot of people in Romania would like to see Moldova in the EU, I do not perceive that happening. And the reason why is not what you think. It is inherently because Moldovans don't want to join the EU. And the reason why comes down to the fact that 95% of Moldovans, roughly, can get Romanian citizenship. Now, east of the Dniester River, you cannot get citizenship in Romania if you don't have family over the western side of the Dniester. But the vast majority of people east of the Dniester River do have family in the capital, or they do have family in the city of Balțis, for example, or in Comrades, stuff like this. And the law states that anyone with family, direct blood ties, if your ancestor was born in Greater Romania prior to 1940, then you can apply for citizenship. Now, this is interesting because it actually keeps Moldova out of the EU. It does not help Moldova join the EU, as if 95% of Moldovans can get Romanian citizenship, why would they join the EU? As it is something that not a lot of benefits come from if you are already a Romanian citizen. If you want to go to the EU, of course, the easiest way is to get a Romanian passport and just move to the EU. Yes, it creates brain drain. However, it also creates the fact that Moldova can keep its culture, and also something that is less talked about is it can keep its Russian ties. And this is a more hush-hush topic in Moldova. Can't really take Russia away from the equation. And as the EU has cracked down more on Russia and Russian dealings, there are inherently more people who do not want to join the EU. This is not inherently a bad thing, as it is essentially a very small country in the grand scheme of things, and actually, it doesn't hurt their freedom of movement. So, this is but it's an interesting ideal, right? Where you have a country that borders Romania, that 95% of the country can gain Romanian citizenship, albeit the documentation is expensive and gaining the necessary paperwork is expensive. However, once that is complete, you can go to anywhere in the EU. And so it creates an interesting dynamic where people really aren't too flustered about whether or not Moldova joins the EU. And so it also is an interesting perspective from a hiring point of view, as if they do not join the EU, salaries will stay low. And as salaries stay low, you have people who are willing to work for less, and you have people who are essentially very hard workers who generally know English for the most part, and who can kind of create an inherently large impact on your business, especially if you somehow have Romanian clients or clients in Russia. Almost 100% of people in Chișinău, for example, speak Russian, and then additionally they speak Romanian, and a lot of them will speak English. I would say about 70% of people under 25 in Chișinău know English. And so you have sort of a interesting dynamic where there's 3 languages spoken day to day, and especially in business contexts, English is used. So it's an interesting place from that perspective. However, in EU integration, there are a lot of reforms that you have to make do with. However, there's no incentive to have those reforms go through if there is the possibility of Romanian citizenship elsewhere. So this is truly the geopolitical flashpoint there, because if you can just get Romanian citizenship, why wouldn't you spend the time to get Romanian citizenship, go to Romania? Sure, it'll cost, a few $1,000s, but then you can buy a house in, Chișinău or Camarads, wherever you're from, and then go back on vacations, but maintain your culture, maintain the fact that you believe in a certain way. Again, that's fair, that's normal as a reaction. And so, while I think that Maya Sandu has done good work in helping bring down corruption and bring down a lot of the issues that once plagued Moldova, I think that realistically, EU accession is something that is controversial, to say the least here, and it's not something that people are truly aspiring for in the same way as they would other things and other goals. There are too many things going on at once in this country, and inherently, if you're looking at what the next 10 years are going to be, I do not believe that EU accession is on the table. That said, we will have to wait and see. If you are interested in these updates of what the geopolitical situation is on the ground, or internationalization, international business, things like this, then I would appreciate a like. Of course, I would appreciate a subscription as well if you want to join me in this journey. And if you really liked the video, feel free to share. This has been the Traveling Reports, and I'm off.